of the World Grand Prix. It's going to be an absolute belter. Ronnie O'Sullivan against Ding Junhui. The Rocket has the advantage in the head-to-head, a clear advantage at that. But most recently, Ding defeated O'Sullivan at the Crucible, and they've had some pretty close encounters over the last few years. So the crowd should be almost ready to go. Certainly the players are, and ready to go in the commentary box. Phil Yates and Neil Foulds. First, though, to introduce the players, our MC, John McDonald.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. A very warm welcome to the Guildhall, Preston! 32 players came and now 2 remain for the grand final of the Ladbrokes World Grand Prix. Brought to you by World Snooker, live on ITV Sport as we welcome the millions of viewers joining us around the world. Well now, ladies and gentlemen, our referee in charge of the final and taking part in his 4th world ranking final, it's Greg Cornelio. And ladies and gentlemen, it's time now to meet the players. Would you please welcome from China, Asia's #1 and the winner of 13 world ranking events, ladies and gentlemen, the young talents of Ding Junhui! And now, ladies and gentlemen, from Essex, England, it's time to meet the player who has won 31 world ranking events. He is the 5-time champion of the world, the Rocket, Ronnie O'Sullivan!
What a reception that was. 25 years ago, Ronnie O'Sullivan walked down those stairs and won the UK Championship right here at Preston Guildhall. A quarter of a century later, he is still going as good as ever. Back then, Ding was just about starting school. Now, though, he's a formidable opponent.
It's ahead, your choice. Ding to break. Wait for the cue, Ding, please. Wait for the cue. Okay. Okay. Ding. Yep.
Yes, we're okay. We're all set to start.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. The first frame. Ding Junhui to break.
And I'm really looking forward to it. As you heard from Alan and Stephen Hendry, both really thinking that this could be the matchup that we've been waiting for, and by some margin they've been the 2 best players the whole week. I know that's obvious, but it doesn't always transpire that the 2 best players lock horns in the final.
Too right. One thing that tells you they have been the best is that both of these have made a century break, at least 1 century, in every match that they've been involved in.
He may be a little weary after last night, but I think as soon as the match starts, that'll all be gone. It was a typically monumental task to beat Mark Selby, and I think he did very well to do it after maybe some mental scarring, having lost in the last 2 World Championships to him in long matches. Last night just felt a little bit like that, didn't it? With Selby just battling every point. Ding was up to the challenge. Really impressed by how he did it.
Yes, you made a good point about a previous World Championship. Sometimes when the juices are flowing, fatigue is not a factor. And when you play O'Sullivan in a major final, the juices, let me tell you, really do flow. Especially with Ding holding O'Sullivan in such high regard.
He didn't play it as a shot to nothing, for sure. He tried to knock it in and hold for a high-value colour. This is not an easy opening red. Whichever one he goes for, the one in the middle. The blue's not easy to get on with the red next to it either. Can't run it in onto the blue to the left middle very easily. But the ping will go. And that will interest him.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 1.
Well, a bit surprised he missed, obviously. He's been starting matches so well.
In each of his last 2 rounds, Ding has been involved in a marathon first frame. Against Anthony McGill in the quarterfinals, it lasted 53 minutes. Last night was 48. He'd like to win this one decisively and sharpish.
Yes, he can just get through to the blue. No, the pink, rather. Yes, with enough angle to stun for that red. I don't think we can expect too many 40-plus minute frames in this match. I mean, you never quite know what you're going to get, but it would be rare with the players involved.
This process, when the pink spot and all of the other spots are occupied,
7.
always takes some time because the referee has to be so accurate.
Eight.
So,
Ding Junhui, 8.
a little bit of nerviness from both players. Now we will Ronnie play on the black along the cushion. Try and get into play. The answer is yes.
1.
But again, you'll have to force this, and we're seeing not everything down the cushion go in with any pace this week. That's exactly what I'm saying. If he was dropping that in, he'd never miss it, but just catch the first draw. And they don't drop. Still get people telling me these pockets are big. Maybe try playing on them. You might get a different view.
I get the same, Neil. You can't convince people But honestly, folks, they are really tight. And in comparison with club tables, I think it's the middles that are most brutal. They are cut so harshly.
One.
And that didn't even go in cleanly.
3.
These two players have a wealth of experience of playing in big finals, but it doesn't mean they don't suffer from nerves.
There are several positives on which Ding can draw. He's beaten O'Sullivan in a ranking event final before. 2006 Northern Ireland Trophy.
6.
He beat O'Sullivan in last year's World Championship in the quarterfinals. And also, he's actually got a better strike rate in converting finals into titles. For him, in ranking finals, he's won 72.2% of them. O'Sullivan, 68.8%.
Eleven. 12.
Seems he's going to have to win this frame without the use of the black. I don't see him
70.
trying to get on it. We've seen O'Sullivan come unstuck doing that already. So he's likely to chip away at other colours. If he's playing on the pink here, it's just a question of, does the pink go on its own spot? And if so, will it be potable? Can't quite see from my commentary position. Because of course he'd like to have that at his disposal.
80.
And if of course there's a red on it, then it'll go onto the black spot, which would suit him. Well, it's okay. He didn't mean to flick the red on the way through. Just brushed into one of those. Now, Greg Caniglio here just will tell us either way. Yep, that's well and truly in Ding Junhui's favour.
Of course, with the time difference, it's prime time in China, so millions will be watching this.
30. 32.
And we can't overstate just how popular both of these two players are in the People's Republic.
Eight. 39.
That's very nicely judged. Beautiful control.
45.
Which, of course, is an absolute feature of his game when he's at his best.
46.
Cue ball is on, as we said, a bit of string. Not a very long bit of string either. Now, this is just the start he wanted. Would have hated
52.
to have allowed O'Sullivan to start in the way that he has done in many matches this season, just swamping a player early.
Okay. 53. John Wee, 53. And the frame.
The missed pink mattered not. O'Sullivan remains in his chair. First blood is drawn by Ding Junhui. Day when we were first on air, we were saying that this, the Ladbrokes World Grand Prix, is an elite tournament. Well, it certainly produced an elite final. O'Sullivan against Ding. Doesn't get much better than that. Here's frame 2.
Yes, it's an elite tournament because it's the top 32 players on the season, which means that as great as this event is, the winner will be absolutely thrilled. £100,000 Players' Championship is for the top 16 on the season, which is in North Wales in a few weeks. It was a mighty thin
foul
shot had he hit it at all. He couldn't afford to hit it too thick and going off or similar. Ronnie is likely to have a dig at this long red here. I think he was very confident of the shot. Otherwise the cue ball wouldn't have been sent all the way around into bulk.
One. Ding Junhui, 1.
Good cue ball. Tight under that ball cushion. Normally, hitting the bump of the middle pocket isn't recommended. In that instance, it wasn't too bad from O'Sullivan's perspective.
I don't think Ronnie's angled. He's quite close at left jaw. And as you can see, he's got a clear path into the reds, albeit it's never been much fun playing from the jaws of a pocket. He's actually played it very well, I think. Better shot than it looked like.
The red will no way go past the black, so from the point of view of leaving that one on, not the case. This one goes, though, if he fancies it, if he feels as though there's any value in it. That was a little clumsy from Ding.
Foul.
It was, but there's no evidence right now that O'Sullivan is cueing overly well. He's missed a few what you call half chances that he's been absolutely devouring all week. It is early days and he's not quite in the zone yet. Big target in behind the brown. I was thinking that, and it's one thing knowing it's there, but another thing to execute a shot as well as Ding Junhui has done that one. I wonder if there's a way in behind the brown from over on the left here. I think that's what he's going to do. Just chip off this red left side before the middle pocket and in behind brown. I think his win against Yan Bingtao O'Sullivan earlier in the tournament, his safety was absolutely magnificent in that game, and he almost felt that he was just hanging on for some parts because he's playing an opponent who knocks everything in at long range, but you can't knock them in if you're not on anything. It's hard to see an attacking safety shot here. I don't know if he can get up that into that area of the table from where he is now. I don't think he can. Somewhere in where he's cueing isn't particularly threatening, but it's about all he's got, I think, on the safety shot. Kiss stopped him going in off, but that's worse than the in off. Very subdued so far.
Yes, I think it's a slight concern, not a worry yet. He made a slow start against Maguire also in the semi-finals. But right from the moment he missed the pink off its spot in the first frame with the initial chance, ever since he's been prone to error. Of course, could spark to life at any moment, and if he does, you can win 4, 5, 6 frames in the blink of an eye. But Ding will be encouraged.
One. Ding Junhui, one.
Ding, a very different player these days to the raw, uncut diamond that came onto the circuit when he won the 2005 China Open. Now he's patient, measured. And now he's in. We've noticed quite a few times, 3 times at least actually, O'Sullivan's played a shot and his chalk has fallen onto the tape, onto the carpet. I don't know whether he's having any pocket problems.
One.
Well, that's actually played very well. Played it into an area where a number of reds were potable. And he's still got a choice of probably 3 he could play.
Nine.
Well, good news for Ding is there's no early fireworks. The sting has been taken out of the start of this match a little. And he's very much settling better than Ronnie O'Sullivan. A very slow walk round to his shot. He knows he didn't play that
16.
overly well. Very difficult red that he's looking at here, the thin one to the right corner. I don't think he can even consider going for it. I think he's got to try and get in behind the brown again. It's not a good shot.
Ding Junhui, 16.
Again, overcooked. Cue ball in and out of book.
Foul.
Well, that's a serious mistake. The
Ronnie
4
O'Sullivan,
points
4.
are not the issue. It's what he's left. It's amazing how on the way back you've got a ball in the way like the green there. And they seem very wide targets if you're struggling to play safe.
1.
It's annoying for O'Sullivan. It's very poor. What's happening here? The last thing you want to do is have to play this yellow with the rest already. Recovery shot after one pot.
Three.
Better, but there's pressure on this one again. That was well struck.
Four.
Yes, it's an old cliche, but there's a lot of truth in it that you never really feel in any match. You've got a frame on the board, however long the match is. I think Ronnie's in that position right here.
Ten. Eleven. $17.
He's given Ding plenty of big occasion hurt in the past. 10-3, he won their final in the 2007 Masters, making 4 centuries, including a 1-4-3. When Ding made his debut at the Crucible in 2007, he played Ronnie in the first round. O'Sullivan beat him 10-2.
$26.
And then the final of the 2014 Welsh Open. 9-3 that was to O'Sullivan, finishing off with a 1-4-7.
Yes, there aren't too many players on the tour. Not a few battle scars when it comes to playing against this man.
33. 34. $41. 42.
One other runaway with a title at stake. O'Sullivan beat Ding 7-1 in the final of the Premier League in 2011. He owned that tournament. The king of the shot clock he was.
48.
Keeper just jumped a little bit there. It was a minor kick which has made
49.
almost no difference to the shot. Check of the scores, so you'll see black, red and any colour will be sufficient. This was needed.
$56.
His first meaningful contribution
57.
in the match. He was left with a good chance. He immediately ran out of position on the first red. Doesn't use the rest very much. When he does, he's brilliant with it, actually. And he's not been in a lot of trouble ever since.
64. 65.
Well, the cue ball swung all around the table here. Well, he won't be too concerned. This is more like it.
71. Ronnie O'Sullivan, 71 on the front.
Ding misjudged a safety. O'Sullivan with a break of 71 ties the scores.
Thank you,
Played,
the third frame.
they've been shared.
Ding Chung meter break.
Best of 19 frames, this two-session final. 9 this afternoon, 10 this evening.
Foul.
Well, it was thin, but not quite as thin as he
Sullivan.
played it.
4.
Cue ball absolutely flew into the top left pocket. He's left Ronnie a typical cueing shot that so far in this match has not been going in. In fact, he's playing the other one to the middle. A little bit surprised he played that one, because he really had to bite into the cue ball there and get it to miss the bunch. And he missed it on the thick side as well, so it was always going to swing wider.
O'Sullivan here today could create some more history. He's never won 4 ranking titles in the same season. His best was 2004-5 when he won the Grand Prix here, funnily enough, against Preston's own Ian McCulloch in the final. Then he won the Welsh Open and Irish Masters that season, but never before 4 in one campaign. Well, there, the in-off for Ding would have been preferable.
Yes, he might have done quite a bit of damage here. I mean, everything is set. Obviously, the black, if potted, might be a little awkward, but he doesn't worry about that right now.
1. Five. Six.
Well, he's on the blue. He's kind of naturally just drifting away from the reds a touch. So he's going to get past the box colours here. That's fine.
11. 12. 70.
Well, the bottom red of the two that he's looking at would be the more attacking shot. He doesn't really have to go down that route if he doesn't want to. There's plenty of other reds scattered around in open play.
80.
I think he's probably taken the better approach here. He's not worrying about the black and the reds above it. Of course, they used to always say, well, you can't win a frame in one visit without the black being
20.
available, but it's proved to be nonsense. The skill that is involved at the top level might be playing on it this time. He's changed his mind once again.
24.
Just chipping away. This is the third time he's looked at this red. This time he's playing it.
31.
That's why he's such a great player.
38.
He's now got everything going for him.
13.
He was bridging slightly awkwardly.
Ronnie O'Sullivan.
Nevertheless, that was unexpected.
Yes, he took an extra little bit of time on that. He was down on the shot for longer than he'd usually be. Suggests there was just something about it he wasn't happy with.
One.
Couple of reds close to cushions, particularly the one that's
8.
uber awkward by the middle pocket, helping O'Sullivan at the moment, or at least hindering Ding. Immaterial though, and he didn't just miss that, he missed it by a distance. The red there caught the cushion rather than the jaw.
Well, once again overhitting. Cue ball drifting away from the reds.
Eight. 9.
Well, there's quite a few mistakes being made here.
Ronnie O'Sullivan.
A lot of
9.
queuing shots. Sullivan's missed blacks off the spot into each pocket this frame. Both pockets. It's never been an easy shot when you're trying to screw it with your hand on the cushion rail. But it's one you expect him to get.
One.
I wonder if he has an angle to get that safe red out, the one that Phil mentioned here. probably wasn't the shot, but it, as we were saying, is certainly going to hinder him later on. So far behind, he'll need that red. It wouldn't be an easy red to cannon out either, because he could push it beyond the middle bag. Worked out very nicely. Fine shot.
60.
Big frame this, Neil. O'Sullivan would be mortified if he lost it, having missed 2 blocks off the spot.
It's going to be fascinating to see how he tries to move that red on the right cushion.
24.
So he may have a shot on the blue, but like I say, it'd be very easy to push it out and past the middle pocket. It's really tight against the rail. He couldn't play on the double or anything like that. So it can take an immense amount of skill. Oh, it's a brilliant effort. It really is. The page was perfect. It just was slightly ill-directed. I'll be in line with it, but it's a difficult shot. Oh, absolutely superb. Now it's really on.
Not happy. That little exchange, first getting the red out and then potting it, was absolutely top-notch.
Yes, probably what you've got here is not only getting from yellow to green because you're going to cannon the brown, but he'd hate the brown to go onto a cushion in doing so. He needs it in the middle of the table somewhere.
You called it, Neil. You called it. So Ding 8 behind. That means he needs to clear to pink.
Doesn't have a great angle on this. I think he can just get round in behind the brown. And Sullivan will come back to the table.
John Wee, 39.
Well, now it's one of those frames where whoever loses it is going to feel a little sick.
That's fine. And with the brown not near a cushion, it's not the easiest A to hit and B to keep safe.
Foul. And a miss.
This is a real ticklish
Ronnie
one.
O'Sullivan, full.
I mean, he may well play this, but it's not an easy one. He could always have it put back if he wanted to. It's a great decision. I can think of players who might not have done that. Let Ding go back in there. As you saw, it was a tricky angle and awkward cueing.
This is frame ball.
Yes, he's kind of scrambled over the line here, which didn't seem likely when he got in first.
And the frame.
It wasn't spectacular by Ronnie O'Sullivan standards, but that brown was gutsy. So too the blue. O'Sullivan in front. 2 frames to 1. Final of the Ladbrokes World Grand Prix
Ronnie O'Sullivan to break.
of 2018. Ronnie O'Sullivan, not all that convincing in the first frame. He's made a few mistakes since, but he leads 2-1 and now looking to kick on.
Yes, it's not been vintage from either player. And they're sort of almost jockeying for positions, it would seem. It'll warm up into a tremendous match, I'm sure of that. Again, the one ball in the way on the way back to bulk is the one you hit full on. Every snooker player watching this will know exactly what that feels like.
One.
He's won an awful lot in the last few years, has Ding, but he hasn't won a ranking title on British soil since the 2012 Welsh Open.
7.
6 years for him. That's a really lengthy drought.
How does he get onto his colour from here is the problem, with the black obviously completely tied up. That's a good effort actually. The bottom red is the one that he could get through to. This is a thin black. Keyboard difficult to control as well. Well, that's very unfortunate. Very unfortunate.
John Week 13. Ronnie O'Sullivan 7.
Well, for a split second there, O'Sullivan was relieved he wasn't on a red. Now he wishes he had been, because the red would have been his. Okay, he's got a tough one, but by far from a certainty this. Up into that distant ball pocket if he chooses to take it on.
Yes, we're not very good cueing either, because the red partly in the way of the cue ball. Very much a distraction on this shot. Played it well. He gave it every chance. By playing on the pink, didn't move the cue ball very far. So it could be an important little point of the match where Ding gets in and has bad fortune, which could take him 2 frames behind. I think when you play Ronnie O'Sullivan, you don't really need to have too much in the way of bad luck along the way.
Eight. $30. 40. $21. 22.
Thought it was okay initially.
29.
Then you could see the body language, concern as the cue ball hit the cushion, and he was right to be concerned. Overcooked it.
Yes, Phil, his usual silky touch is not quite there today. Oh, that's a fine recovery, though. That will really make him feel better. Because if you can imagine if he had wobbled that, how frustrated he would have felt. It makes such a difference if someone like O'Sullivan very occasionally breaks down, but he can just pull out a pot. It's all about cueing.
Yeah, that read for me the second best shot of the match. I think psychologically the brown he knocked in at the tail end of the previous frame. That was his best so far, and then that was his worst.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 35.
Well, I'm really surprised by this one. I mean, this is not difficult for O'Sullivan. I think he played it with right hand reverse side, hoping to get the cue ball out. That's all I can think of as to why he would have missed it.
One.
Now, unlike the third frame when Ding
8.
came to the table trying to erase a substantial deficit, the balls are sitting pretty. No obvious
9.
obstacle to a clearance.
Yes, I think that red up the table will pot to the top right pocket. I'm sure it goes beyond the green and brown.
50.
Otherwise it would be difficult to get on. Because as you can see, the yellow stopping it from the top left. Apart from that, you're right, there's absolutely
60.
nothing to worry about here, except for the situation itself. The fact that we're in a final, and it would be a nice frame to win, to pinch a little bit. And that earlier bad luck would not be
22.
of any relevance.
$23. 30. $31.
Well, a little bit in between.
36.
You play it to the middle pocket, but again, I think you'll have to cannon into the brown here. That's beautifully played.
37.
Very slowly, but very accurately. Don't think you could argue with this scoreline if it did go 2-2 at the mid-session interval. I think it would be par.
41.
And both players can certainly play better than they have.
43.
Yes, and if it is 2-2, I think the interval will come at a good time for O'Sullivan, who will be simmering after missing that red that no one could have foreseen.
$46.
Ding 17 ahead, so this most straightforward of browns is frame ball.
$55. $61.
The table has been set for a feast of snooker as the day progresses.
68 and a frame.
At the interval, it is Ding 2, O'Sullivan 2.
And it's probably...
And ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our players, Ding Junhui and Ronnie O'Sullivan.
Ronnie O'Sullivan and Ding Junhui will resume at 2-all then in this best of 19 frames final at the World Grand Prix. More mistakes than expected in the first 4 frames, and more from O'Sullivan than from Ding.
Thank you, frame 5. Ding Junhui to break.
Amongst those mistakes, O'Sullivan missed a couple of blacks off the spot in the 3rd frame, but nevertheless won it to lead 2-1 and seemed to be heading for 3-1 until he missed a very easy ball when 30-odd in front and let Ding in to clear up with 68 and 2-all.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say in those first 4 frames, both the players almost made more mistakes than they've made for the previous week. Certainly, I think that would go for Ronnie O'Sullivan. Nice opening long pot. Ding Junhui.
1.
I think for both players, I think if they just got in, possibly made a century break, it would just get them into the groove, as it were.
Ding Junhui. 1.
Ding wasn't able to stop the cue ball short of the baulk line, so had to content himself with the snooker.
Ding, the red to the left of the black. Oh, Ronnie might be tempted to play this to left middle. It's a shot to nothing. A bit careless from Ding Junhui. It's there. Very, very careless. Wonderful shot. Control the cue ball, went into the pack and keeping the cue ball in the middle of the table.
Nine.
I'm pretty sure that O'Sullivan didn't intend to get on the cue ball, didn't intend to get on the black that side. But he's perfectly okay, as he's so good left-handed.
Got a choice of two reds.
60.
One to right middle, one to right corner. Well, that's a sign for me. Ronnie O'Sullivan is not that confident. He's not feeling too good in this match. Because the other red
70.
forwarded position on the black. He played the easier pot.
$90. $20.
Well, if you hadn't seen the first four frames, normally you would just take it for granted this is virtually frame over.
25.
When O'Sullivan's got the balls in this position.
$26. $33. $34.
Got a little bit of a springy bounce off the cushion there. The
40.
cue ball didn't go on the natural path up the table after making contact with the cushion.
42.
Could we be about to see the first century break of this final? Kind of surprised there hasn't been one so far. Two of the best break builders in the game are watching here.
$49.
Ronnie just had to cut short his pace
50.
there. The referee didn't get out of the way in time.
Greg Caniglio is the referee. Refereeing his fourth world ranking final.
57. 58. $65. 66.
O'Sullivan sure of a 3-2 lead.
73. $74.
And just wants to nail down the 931st century of his career. He has said that he would like to reach the 1,000.
81. 82.
And at the present rate of progress, he certainly should. Particularly as there are so many tournaments these days.
89.
Yeah, if he keeps up the form for the rest of the season, the amount of
90.
tournaments still left, I expect him to get very close to that 100 mark.
$97. 98.
He's on 57 centuries for the season, or he will be. Now that he's plotted that point.
$106.
So this time, once he got in, there was no unexpected slip-up.
$109. $113. $180. $124.
With trademark currency. O'Sullivan
124.
clears with 144. He actually went in off the black, but of course it didn't matter. He leads by 3 frames.
Thank you. Frame 6. Ronnie O'Sullivan to break.
Ronnie O'Sullivan breaks off, having made the first century break of this final. But it's not a good break off. Will that century break spark a barrage of big breaks in this second session?
Not like that. There's been some easy balls missed. That's probably the easiest.
Momentum plays a big part in long frame matches. This could be the time where it's very much with Ronnie O'Sullivan. Could be sensing it's his maybe a chance to open up a big lead before tonight's session.
Five. 6.
He's overrun his position. And he's
8.
furious with himself.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 8.
Played the double as a shot to nothing. Wouldn't have left anything if the red hadn't gone in.
Lovely positional shot, played with screw
8.
and lots of right hand side. There's a couple of reds available to the left middle, but I think ideally we'd like a nice angle on the black to be able to go into the bunch here. That's pretty good. You could even,
9.
the 3 reds above the black, you could can on the right hand side, one of them would leave a red to left corner, or can on the left hand side of the 3 to leave a red to the right corner. So he's got options. I don't think he'll play with pace actually into the main bunch. Just be a little cannon. Now this is going to be an aggressive shot. It's not an easy pot, it's a blind pot, which means when he
60.
lines up to the red, his eye line, the pocket won't be in his eye line. So these are missable. Position isn't automatic. As you can see, he's just pointing his cue, the path where the cue ball will be going into the reds, so could cost him the frame if he misses this. And he missed it by the proverbial mile.
Ding dong Lee, 16.
Very poor effort, that one.
This is a tricky shot. Had to elevate the cue to get backspin and avoid the push shot.
Eight. Nine.
Like all great players, O'Sullivan is a great predator. I think he may have sensed a sign of weakness in his opponent with that last shot particularly.
Yeah, I think it's a big
60.
thing in all individual sports, spotting weaknesses in your opponent and pouncing.
70.
Sense a bit of unease between Ron O'Sullivan and the referee at the moment, Clive. Just get that feeling.
24.
Well, maybe Greg
25.
Caniglio's been a little bit slow in replacing the balls, and as we all know, O'Sullivan likes to play at a brisk pace.
32.
O'Sullivan was scathing
33.
indeed in his criticism of another referee after last season's Masters semi-final, and got into trouble with the strength of his remarks.
40. $41.
Anyway, he's proceeding pretty smoothly in this effort.
He's
48.
frustrated with his cue ball, Ronnie O'Sullivan. Okay, he's still going to win the frame in one visit.
14.
He's still making the breaks, but it's not the actual string that he normally expects.
$52.
But this is a big time in this final for Ding Junhui coming up. He has to stop this, 'cause it could
53.
get serious.
$59. 60. $67. $68.
So as expected, O'Sullivan has punished Ding's mistake by winning the frame from it.
Well, we've got a mix-up somewhere with the score, because the score that the break,
54.
score of the break that the referee is calling is not the same that's on the scoreboard.
75.
Doesn't matter. Frame's over, but someone's made a mistake at some stage.
$79.
Well, either way, there are enough balls
81.
left for O'Sullivan to complete another century.
$84. $88. $93. $99.
Centuries in consecutive frames then, 131 and 106. Ronnie O'Sullivan leads Ding Junhui by 4 frames to 2. I heard Greg
Hanky
Caniglio
frame 7.
acknowledge
Ding Junhui to break.
in the break between frames that he had miscounted towards the end of O'Sullivan's century in the last frame. It was 105 rather than 106. Although once you've made a mistake and the frame carries on, the mistake is condoned, it stands. So O'Sullivan picking up momentum.
6.
We all know how well O'Sullivan can play, how irresistibly he can play.
11.
If he gets into overdrive,
12.
as he did against Zhao Guodong in the second round here, making 4 centuries in 5 frames.
90.
Bit of a problem here in that the cannon on the red there makes the black unplottable to the left corner.
Wow.
That was magnificent. Shot of the day so far for me. Yeah, Ding's been on the wrong end of a few heavy losses from Ronnie O'Sullivan in the past in long frame matches. He knows what's beginning to happen. Ronnie O'Sullivan is the best front runner in the game. Again, though, just a slight irritation. He missed one of these earlier on, having to bridge over. Missed it to the left-hand jaw, which means a slight deceleration. Safely in. Didn't have to play that one with as much pace as the previous black he missed.
35.
Oh, we got a massive kick there.
36.
Massive kick.
Which is going to rob him of the chance to make a 3rd consecutive century.
Ronnie O'Sullivan.
Well, at
36.
first glance, I thought it was a kick because of the reaction from the cue ball, but Ronnie's reaction seems to think it was a bad shot.
Talking of heavy defeats, Ding was beaten 10-3 by O'Sullivan in the 2007 Masters final. In fact, a combination of taking such a hammering and getting some abuse from a section of the crowd reduced Ding to tears, and O'Sullivan very nicely put an arm around him. Otherwise, I don't think Ding wanted to come out for the last frame. And that was followed by a 10-2 defeat in the World Championship at the Crucible a few months later. So it took Ding a while to actually do himself justice against O'Sullivan.
Well, this is very, very risky.
Well, some element of safety, I guess. Screwing back and getting the cue ball over the right-hand side of the table, but not much.
definitely a sign of weakness for me, that last shot from Ding Junhui. He showed last night against Mark Selby how patient he can be in finding the right safety shot.
O'Sullivan was bridging somewhat awkwardly.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 1.
So, Ding's wild or ultra ambitious shot isn't going to cost him that much.
Well, Ding doesn't need me to tell him how important this visit to the table is in the context of this final.
1. Eight.
Very poor shot.
9.
Well, he's blaming a big bounce off the cushion, but I'm afraid that was just
Yellow
clumsy.
ball.
He's lost the plot a bit at the moment, Ding Junhui. Needs to get his composure
Foul.
back quickly, or he could
Miss.
lose this final this afternoon.
Junhui, 9. Ronnie O'Sullivan, 4.
It's still comparatively early in the match. It's only 4-2. No need to panic yet. But it appears that he has.
I have to say the table looks awful at the moment. Cushions are bouncing all over the place. That red should never been anywhere near the middle pocket.
Five. Six.
So, despite highly debatable shot choices and one very careless loss of position, Ding is still very much in this frame.
11. Twelve. 90. 20.
Now comes the more difficult part. Not good.
26. Jumwee, 26.
Lost position, but back up to only 6 behind. Stunning long break from O'Sullivan though.
Yeah, but again, another poor safety shot from Ding Junhui. His safety play last night was just excellent against Mark Selby. As I said, he's completely lost focus. And you're right, Clive, the long pot was just phenomenal cueing. Ronnie's just working out. He's going to lay a snooker here. He wants to block out the left-hand side of the table for the escape.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 1.
Don't think he has done. Good shot.
Poor shot from O'Sullivan. Didn't mean to cannon the black.
It was a pretty decent opening red from Ding Junhui, considering how he's played in this frame. And considering how probably he's feeling inside. And again, that wasn't... Just seemed to get down very quickly to play the yellow there. He had a pink into the right middle. Okay, it was a tougher shot, but at least the position would have been automatic.
In Junhui, 3.
If O'Sullivan could win this frame, he would be sure of a lead of some sort going into this evening's final session. What's more, if he did make it 5-2, it would give him the impetus to take a big lead into the last session.
Chance he could get the snooker back here, O'Sullivan. Leave the cue ball behind the black. I didn't expect him to miss the yellow though.
Foul.
That's very careless.
A miss. And a 3 ball. Ding Junhui, 4.
Which means that Ding can nominate any colour
Brown ball.
as an extra yellow.
Two. 4.
Well, this is a shot you would think. It's the last remaining difficult pot. Safely in.
7.
So a big frame this has been for Ding Junhui. He started to look very fragile mentally for the first time in this tournament, has to be said.
11.
So this is frame ball.
16.
And somehow
22. And the frame.
Ding has pulled
Ding
up to
Junhui.
only one behind. He still trails though, 4-3. Hawkins is the last name on the trophy, but unfortunately didn't accrue enough ranking points this season to make an
frame
appearance here
Ronnie
at
O'Sullivan.
Preston. O'Sullivan going for his 32nd world ranking title in the same great venue that he won his first, the UK Championship, a week short of his 18th birthday.
Foul. And a miss.
Well, it looked
Ronnie O'Sullivan. 4.
like it was going to leave Ronnie a sitter to start, but his cue ball just bounced an inch or two to make this a tricky little shot.
It was tricky, but I didn't expect O'Sullivan to play the cue ball into baulk. It wouldn't have been properly on a colour even if he'd potted it. Although, of course, if he had potted it, it would have been a slightly thicker contact.
I actually think both players have been affected by the way the table's reacting at the moment, Clive. The cushions, especially this black cushion, is almost becoming unplayable, even to players as skillful as this.
Good long red from Ding. And from a friendly angle on the yellow.
3.
Another slack positional shot You want an angle on the blue to come down for a red further down the table. It's got a red to the right of the pink. And this is tough now. This needs very good cueing. I don't know if the pink's available to the left middle. She just play a stun on the red. Well, he's got a plant. That makes things a lot easier. That makes things a lot easier.
10.
Red going over the corner pocket is more or less forced Ding
Blue
into taking this blue on. He wouldn't be playing this otherwise. Oh, brilliant. It's an even better shot because his state of mind couldn't have been ideal.
50. $60. $21.
Oh, well onto the near
Engine weak.
draw.
21.
Again, frustration. It was a tricky shot to take on. Knew he was leaving this red. Okay, it was an aggressive shot.
One.
Queuing impeded for his preferred ball, the blue.
Five. 6. $11. $12.
Nice little shot. Stun for the pink. And a chance to bring some more reds into play. It's not worked out. I think you get Ronnie's reaction.
18.
Very frustrated with the outcome of that shot. And that was another symptom of his frustration. I think in a better mood he would have played a safety into baulk. So O'Sullivan's inability to contain his frustration has led to Ding getting in.
8.
It's like a battle of the tempers at the moment, Clive, isn't it? who can keep hold of the temper the most?
9.
Both players showing anger and frustration. Wow, he's walking around the table. I don't know. He's on this
16.
red of sorts to the left corner. I can't see. Well, see how he's even going to get to it. And even if he can, what position is he going to get?
That was an incredibly tough spider shot.
16.
He was within a roll of pulling it off. If he had managed to pop the red, he would probably have gone on to take the frame. As it is, O'Sullivan is now favourite to go 5-3 up, even though he's still a few points behind.
Eight. 9. $60. 70. 22. 23. 29.
Not 100% satisfied with his last positional shot.
$30.
So having
35.
to negotiate in and out of bulk. Wouldn't expect it to be a problem in between green and brown twice.
36.
So it looks like, as you said, Clive, Ron O'Sullivan is the one that's going to be guaranteed
39.
a lead going into the second session. One more frame to play this afternoon.
41.
Either going to be 5-3 or 6-3 ahead.
Well, nobody likes spiders, and Ding particularly in this context, because a particularly nasty spider shot has cost him this frame.
Sorry, I made an error there. Either
44.
5-4 or 6-3 ahead. Guaranteed for Sullivan now.
48. 53. 59.
Ding missed a particularly tricky shot with the spider. O'Sullivan cleared with 59 to the pink and has extended his lead to 5-3.
Thank you. The final frame of this session. Ding Junhui to break.
So this is the frame that defines the afternoon's work for these players. At its conclusion, O'Sullivan will be either 6-3 up or only 5-4. Forced into a safety error.
One. Eight. Nine.
I think this was a, well, it still is obviously a long way to go in this frame, but I think it's
14.
obviously far more important for Ding Junhui to win than Ronnie O'Sullivan.
50.
Ronnie was to have a 6-3 lead going into tonight. It's not very often you see him give up those leads. Fantastic front runner. But it's not been the classic that I expected so far.
No, there have been some good things. Sullivan's back-to-back centuries, 131 and 105. But also some very surprising errors and quite a few flashes of irritation from both players, either with springy bounces or their own shortcomings.
$29. T4. 35.
I think one thing that O'Sullivan has become better at with age
40.
is overcoming frustration. When he was quite a bit younger, sometimes used to destroy his performance, giving vent to his
41.
frustration just made him worse. Much more disciplined these days.
$48. 49. $56. 57. $64. 65.
Well, you wouldn't bet against Ronnie making his third century of this first session. It's the 3-frame
72.
gappage opened up going into tonight's
72.
session.
$80. 81.
Yeah, we talked about it's not being a classic, and people might say, well, look, Ronnie O'Sullivan, you know, he's made 3 centuries, but this stuff around the players, it's really, this is bread and butter stuff to Ronnie O'Sullivan.
$88.
But he's giving his opponent a lot to think
89.
about going into tonight's session. Ding Junhui's got to come out tonight and win, you would think, 3 of the first 4 frames to have any chance.
94. 95.
O'Sullivan's third century
100.
of the afternoon, in a session in which he's had
101.
several off-key moments, but has nevertheless built up a very useful advantage for this evening.
$106. 108. 111. 115. 120.
Well, I'm sure he could have made a total clearance if he concentrated. But the break of 120 nevertheless gives him a 6-3 lead going into this evening's final session.
Gentlemen, a very warm welcome to the Guildhall, Preston! Welcome back to the final of the Ladbrokes World Grand Prix, brought to you by World Snooker, live on ITV Sport. We're ready to go. Ladies and gentlemen, the referee in charge is Greg Colleoni. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to meet the players. Would you please welcome from China, Asia's #1 and the winner of 13 world ranking events, ladies and gentlemen, Ding Junhui! Ladies and gentlemen, here he is, from Essex, England, the winner of 31 world ranking events. Ladies and gentlemen, time to meet the 5-time champion of the world, the one, the only, the Rocket, Ronnie O'Sullivan!
A grand Guildhall welcome for two fine players. The venue absolutely crammed, everything set fair. But you have to say, Ding with an awful lot of work to do. O'Sullivan is the man in command at the start of the second and concluding session of this, the Ladbrokes World Grand Prix.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Frame 10. Ronnie O'Sullivan to break.
Yes, and Ronnie O'Sullivan was not at his best this afternoon, but sheer weight of scoring eventually took him away, right away from Ding Junhui. 3 centuries. Probably doesn't quite tell you how he played, because he missed quite a lot of shots. But in amongst it, there was that powerhouse scoring, break building that we see from him all the time. Good shot from Ding, 2 cushions. First go. Sometimes players take 2 or 3 efforts to get that shot bang on. I do believe that Ding will have to come out very quickly tonight, because within half an hour this match could be put right beyond him if O'Sullivan gets motoring again.
And the worrying aspect for Ding is that on all 3 occasions O'Sullivan's beaten him in a final, it's been by a heavy margin. 10-3, 2007 Masters, 7-1, 2011 Premier League, 9-3, 2014 Welsh Open.
It never seemed to stop rolling, that ball. I thought it was going to finish short, but it went on and on. Yes, well, they have to start going in those shots, especially leaving O'Sullivan more than tempting reds like the one he's faced with near his hand at the moment. Well, the shot here could be the red, obviously, to the right of the table, and he may think about playing a cannon on the red to the left of the black. If he could manage that, then he could be in. I think that's what he's looking at now. It's not an easy shot. It's a two-way shot. It's gone the other way. And could hardly have played it better. I think he probably felt that the cannon would have to be full ball. If it was anything but, then he wouldn't be on the black. And Ronnie O'Sullivan looks at a shot as long as this. He's really trying to work out the best line of attack to get the black on its spot, to get everything open down there. Usually he sees the shot instinctively very quickly. And right in the middle of the bunch goes the left corner.
6.
Well, it's unusual. Lots of head shaking. If he could come in high up from the black, maybe he would be looking at kissing a red or two away from the black spot. He's only one key shot away from being right in. I'm sure
7.
there's a little cannon in the offing. Well, I think he might be on the red through the gap here. That would be lucky.
40.
He didn't know much about it. He's on that. And the black goes to the opposite corner.
When it comes to break building, O'Sullivan doesn't really need bonuses, but this really is a bonus.
50.
Anything but straight on this red, and I think
22.
straight is exactly what he has got in front of him. That's no good. That's a good effort.
23.
There simply was not enough angle to play with. The break will end here. It's a great shot. Not seen him quite so uncertain in amongst them. It must have been a very complicated layout of the reds around the black spot there.
But what a way to finish. Anyone who's played this game knows that that kind of drop in snooker behind the yellow, you have to make perfect contact in terms of pace and line on the brown, and that's what he did.
Oh no. It wasn't a very big target actually. Usually you've got a 4 or 5 red target to just nestle into. But there's one red in front of the others. And he just hit it half ball.
1.
The extreme force was to manufacture the angle, and he's achieved that very nicely indeed.
Yeah, it's just off straight actually. I wonder if he has got more than one way of getting on a red here. Direct screw back, or maybe could land on the red at the bottom of the bunch. And there's a very slight angle. Again, it might take a bit of pace though on it. That's okay.
Well, already he looks more
7.
focused to me than he did certainly early in the session this afternoon.
8.
We know he's trying to win his 32nd world ranking title this evening, which is 4 short of the record 36 of Stephen Hendry. What would be remarkable if he did prevail tonight, it would be the 16th different world ranking tournament in which his name would appear
50.
on the trophy.
Win or lose tonight, it
6.
was a time-filled one. I didn't think he'd ever get to Hendry's 36, but I now think it would be a big shock if he didn't, because he's playing too well, and he has done over a sustained period.
Yes, I always thought Hendry's record, like you, Neil, was pretty much impregnable. Not so now.
23. $24.
The other byproduct of a victory here tonight would mean that with the £100,000 first prize, O'Sullivan would be basically guaranteed
30.
to have, at the age of 42, his most lucrative season ever in terms of prize money. It's remarkable what he's doing.
$31.
Yeah, this frame has required quite an intense period of concentration for O'Sullivan, but it's working.
28.
And any colour here means he's already another frame in front.
39.
Does he go into the bunch still? Probably. He won't be too concerned that he's missed the pack there, because his main priority was always the pot, and 2
46.
snookers are required. So he'll live with that.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 46.
Two visits, okay, but the perfect frame. 23, laid a cracking snooker, and from the chance created, tidied up.
Yes, and if you remember, he actually potted one cracking long red and went in off, and Ding had his only opportunity, a red at length, which he wobbled. So that was the best thing that came his way in that frame.
Seven.
I mentioned earlier that English professional
8.
English Open victory against Kyron Wilson, where he led 6-2 in Barnsley at the start of the session into the evening. And of course Kyron Wilson had an outside chance, but he absolutely
15.
buried Kyron Wilson in the evening session, played
60.
wonderfully. So he's not frightened to go away and win by a wide margin. He's always been a very good front runner, Phil, hasn't he?
23.
He's a very good everything
24.
when it comes to snooker.
A wonderful cue in that shot. I know the frame's over, but he really That cue ball was guided around the table for the yellow. No, this is
32.
very, very good. Everything this afternoon wasn't actually, especially at the beginning, when balls were being missed in the first frame all over the shop.
No.
Fully agreed, Neil, and yet his pot success rate in 10 frames
44.
94%. Breaks of 46, 44. The O'Sullivan juggernaut continues to roll on to 7-3.
11. Ding Junhui to break.
The Preston Guildhall has been very kind to Ronnie O'Sullivan over the years. Some wonderful memories he has of this place. Tried to win his 4th ranking title at this venue here tonight. It all started for him as a 17-year-old when he won the UK Championship in 1993. The youngest ever winner of a world ranking event then, and he remained so. 25 years on, he's as good as ever. In my opinion, even better.
It's another brilliant pot. You're right, he's got everything. He's got absolutely everything, because what he didn't have back then was a particularly good safety or tactical game. And that obviously comes with experience. You're not just born with that. And we saw it in the last frame when he broke down and put Ding in behind the yellow.
8.
When his long game's also functioning, then really it becomes extremely difficult to beat.
No.
He's not won this yet, but he's kind of going to form. He came in here as the #1 seed. And if you're wondering why Selby wasn't the #1 seed, this tournament is for the top 32 players on this season alone. And of course, Ronnie's miles clear of everybody.
14.
So he was seeded to win it. He may well go on to do that.
50.
He's definitely going to be #1 seed for the upcoming Players' Championship in Llandudno.
T2.
Yes, and it'll be very difficult to beat.
23.
Amongst other reasons, we don't start with best of 7 there. It's best of 11 from the outset, which means that the better the player, the better the chance of winning, I guess.
30. 31.
Well, that surprises
36.
almost everybody, I think, in here, that he's overrun to the extent he has. He's got a wonderful touch, and he looked to be getting it all back. That red, he's just discovered that it goes. Yep, there was nothing to stop it, actually. It was a full pocket.
27.
And Ronnie only found out about it when his intended shot became unavailable.
Had a little bit of positional luck in the first frame of the evening as well. When he's playing beautiful snooker as he is now, and he's having a little bit of run on top of it, you might as well turn out the lights and go home. That seemed to be a slightly dull contact, though, in fairness to him.
Well, he comes around quickly to see if The pink is available. It's the only hope of keeping the break going. That looks very tight. And I can't believe that goes. The red is covering the potting angle. But even that, okay, he's broken down. Look at the safety shot he's played. Absolutely watertight. By a long way, his second option. I think he's not getting a chance. It's twice he played that shot tonight, and both times to perfection.
The other clever aspect of O'Sullivan's safety shot on the green is that he's knocked the green safe. Should Ding get a chance to maybe clear up. When you're 40 in front, putting a colour safe is definitely the right way to go.
Very well done. We really would have liked to nudge on something. A beautiful shot, because the pot and the cue ball coming out of the bunch without hitting one was very well judged. That was very good play from Ding Junhui. If he's going to turn this around, he's got to continue to pot those. He saw a gap here in the bunch. Slight moral victory for Ding Junhui there, just the last couple of shots. Well, they'll go for this. Red that he's close to.
Just not happening for Asia's number one. This match for me turned in frame 5 when O'Sullivan knocked in a cracking red to that same pocket at a really acute angle, went on to make a century, and ever since he's been in total command. And the opening red there was no bargain either.
6. Seven.
Ding Junhui's potted one ball tonight. That was that brilliant red a few moments ago.
50.
Couldn't follow it up with the one that he was close to, and it's another frame that is gone. The match feels like it's gone as well.
22. 23. Thirty. 31.
You can't help but savour what he does.
It's the 8.
He's not going to be around
13.
forever, is he, Neil? Now that he's still here, still at the peak of his powers, just enjoy.
No, he's not going to be around forever, but about 2011, before he won the world title again, you might have thought that you'd seen the best of him. I don't think I'd have been alone in thinking that. We were all wrong. In a way, the best is yet to come.
Foul. Ronnie O'Sullivan, 39.
That wasn't it.
But
But it mattered not in the slightest.
Frame, Ronnie O'Sullivan.
Ronnie O'Sullivan is now 2 frames away from being Ladbrokes World Grand Prix champion.
12. Ronnie O'Sullivan to break.
You have to think that glittering piece of silverware is heading towards the expansive trophy cabinet that's in the home of
Give it a white with a cloth.
Ronnie O'Sullivan. Not happy with the cue ball, though. The referee, Greg Caniglio,
Change it then, yeah.
asking O'Sullivan if he wants to change the white.
Pink. Should we change that? Get him a white one.
Yes, it might have been a little chip out of it or something not right about it. We don't see that very often. There will be plenty more somewhere. So
Just asking for another white ball out of the office.
So we're just waiting for another one to come. Maybe a mark on it. And of course, if you do see something in your line of view on the cue ball, a mark that cannot be got off, then it can distract certain players.
Unusual to see that kind of thing happening, but it does crop up now and again. And the ball's now so uniform that it doesn't really matter, does it, when you change the white? You know that the next one they bring out will react exactly the same.
Well, you'd hope so, wouldn't you? But yes, I'm sure it'll be absolutely fine. I don't know what Ding Junhui's got to do to get back into this game, because he's been basically wearing out the carpet at the bulk end, because that's where he's playing all his shots from. Certainly tonight, he's not really had many chances. He had one red in that frame that he missed. And chances are very scarce, and you've got to take them whenever they come along.
Frame 12. Ronnie O'Sullivan to break.
So we've got Michael White and Jimmy White on the tour, and now we've got 2 whites in this final. For those of you who are hoping for a very close finish, what's happening with Ding's game so far in this session does not augur well. He looks all at sea. Missed that by a mile. Okay, he's not having quality table time either. That doesn't help.
1.
But right now, Neil, you can't envisage a comeback.
No, you could have kind of seen this happening. It was a long lead which he took in. It was probably a bigger lead than the match on balance reflected. Neither player was at their best. Ronnie started to score eventually. And 3 frames felt big. And of course 5, even bigger.
No.
No obvious sign of him letting up. He's played better tonight than he did this afternoon.
16.
In the 12th frame of the 2014
70.
Welsh Open, Ronnie O'Sullivan made a 147 break against Ding. This is the 12th frame here. Just saying. It's over now.
Well, it's a funny shot that, because he actually hit it into the left side of the pocket, which I thought would
24.
swing the cue ball wider and further, but it didn't. It actually stopped very quickly all the same. A nice recovery.
25.
Not enough to stop him, the previous shot. Wow, the noise that made. Dropped his chalk as well as he did a few times this afternoon, but he's crunching them in. And that bunch has been opened
First.
right up again.
$31.
Yes, dropping his chalk is about the only mistake he's making at the moment.
$38. $39. $46.
Okay, well, not a
Ronnie
frame
O'Sullivan.
winner, which a lot of people in
46.
this Guildhall tonight might have felt was about to happen. It was a difficult cutback. It was probably the couple of shots before which is the reason he didn't continue the break. Hit that very well, Ding. Cue ball zipped back.
$8.
Well, when O'Sullivan ran out of position before, it was because the cue ball zipped back. So did the white off the black there.
$9. $16.
Oh dear.
Ding Junhui, 16.
It was just off straight. He wanted a bit more angle, and he almost gave himself more angle to the detriment of the actual pot itself. He's furious. I think more with frustration. I didn't think last night's late finish would make any difference. I have to say, it's taken the edge off his game, in my opinion. I don't know if he'd have won anyway, but he hasn't played very well today.
Well, forehead against wooden cushion rail equals no contest. Only one winner there. The brow is red. Not surprised.
8. $9.
Colour
60.
red is all he needs.
$70.
He's got to keep ploughing on. He's annoyed with himself that it's straight. Setting himself very high standards, but he's about to go 9-3 up in the first of 10 final of a huge tournament, so he shouldn't be too
24.
disappointed with himself. And that's another frame one.
25.
Gets to the point, I think, when in a long match like this, when a player is so far ahead, it's almost that both players want it over with. Ding will try his best, but there's a part of him that probably, you know, he's looking for the door now. And that's only to be expected. It's human nature when you're this far behind. It's demoralising.
27.
One-way traffic
35.
as a snooker Rolls Royce goes down a trophy road.
36.
This evening, 5 breaks over 40, 1 over 30.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 43. On the frame.
All Ronnie O'Sullivan. The lead is now 9-3. The requirement, one more frame to be crowned champion.
One frame away from a victory in this World Grand Prix. To get the next frame underway, Clive Everton has joined Neil Foulds in the commentary box.
It doesn't look as if the end is going to be long delayed.
Ding Junhui to break.
Ding Junhui trailed 6-3 at the interval. His only real hope was to put together 2 quick frames at the start of the evening session, but in fact the opposite happened. So at 9-3, it's all over, bar the formalities.
Yes, what might be left is as to whether it gets to the mid-session interval, which if Ding won it would be after this frame. If Ronnie wins, it's game over.
One.
Of course, any professional has his pride of performance, but it's really hard when you have no realistic prospect of winning. You just want to put the best scoreline on that you can.
Well, that's often underlined by many of the best of 25 frame 3 session matches at the Crucible, where a player is so far behind he almost gives up the ghost. Matches will be over with a session to spare. He's played well this week, Ding. I'm pleased to see him playing better.
5.
But not so much today, in fairness.
Well, concentrating on position,
Ding Junhui.
but the
5.
pot itself was pretty easy. You can't help but feel that Ding's mental resources were severely depleted by his very long semi-final against Mark Selby last evening. 4 hours, 40 minutes of that, before he won 6-5.
What he's just done there, Clive, is what he's been doing all the way through this tremendous tournament this week here at the Guildhall. His safety has been quite magnificent at times. He already knew he could play safe, but some of the trouble he's got his opponents in. Go back to that match with Yan Bingtao, who was a very much up-and-coming player. He tied him in knots, and he had to, because that was the most difficult of the matches he's faced.
In fact, O'Sullivan only came through 4-3.
That's not what he would have played. I can absolutely guarantee that he played into the left of the bunch, and it was pushing squared up considerably. He got a clap, but it wasn't the shot he tried.
Ding 4.
Well, that was unexpected. He's trying his hardest, but they won't go in.
It's been a very frustrating day for him. I think in some ways this evening is probably even more frustrating, because 4 or 5 of those he's got very close to, and they all wriggled and stayed out. Such is the fine margins between success and failure at snooker. I think he's looking at the 2 reds at the bottom of the bunch. There's one in the middle as well. Those 2 reds, I think he's looking at for his next shot. They definitely go. The bottom one will certainly go. Doesn't have to play a cannon here. May not be a full pocket, but I think it goes into the middle of the pocket. There you can see a perfect demonstration. And that is on. Especially from as close to it as he is.
8.
No doubt about it in my mind.
9.
Comfortably went.
It would be nice if O'Sullivan could round off his victory with his
50.
11th century of the tournament.
$60.
He made 12 in winning the English Open back in October. And that was a tournament involving 7 rounds. This
23.
one was of only 5 rounds.
24.
Yes, and he'll going to the next phase of this series, if you like. The Players' Championship in Llandudno is a very warm
31.
favourite. Saying earlier on, Clive, you've got the slightly riskier
32.
best of 7s to start with, his long matches. Best of 11s from the outset, 16 of the world's best players. And the man we're watching is the man they've all got to fear.
$29.
The green is just something that might interest him. It's an easier pot than the black. The cue ball is not under complete control, but it's a backup shot. He's played it well. He has controlled the cue ball, though. That's beautiful. What a recovery that is.
Still on the trail of century number 934.
Cue.
As he intends to make further progress towards the 1,000, which he's expressed the ambition of achieving.
There's a great area to land in after that green, right in the middle of choice of reds. And he's played better
44.
this week and this season than he has in this final, but it's an overwhelming success all the same.
We did see spasmodic excellence from O'Sullivan this afternoon.
51.
He made 3 centuries.
52.
But it wasn't consistent excellence. Not like that he showed in the English Open final when he missed only 6 pots all day in beating Karen Wilson 9-2.
That last black was the final piece of the jigsaw. Landing behind the red. What a great player.
$67. 68.
There's a first prize of £100,000 awaiting him to add to the 558,000 he's already amassed this
75.
season. With several
76.
big money tournaments to come, he could well become the first snooker player to earn £1 million in prize money in a single season.
82.
That would be beating Mark Selby's record of 932,000
83.
and odd.
He could make a century here because the natural angle is into the red from this black. Not to be.
No century, but this evening's a ruthlessly efficient display, converting his 6-3 interval lead into a 10-3 victory. What a player, what a player. It's his 32nd world ranking title, and now he's only 4 behind Stephen Henry's all-time record of 36.
Yes, and look at the joy. His friends are out there with him. His little group of followers. And he's battled some of the way through the week. He's been brilliant in spells, but he's now the consummate match player, as well as the genius of a snooker player that he's always been.
So now it only remains to hand you over to John McDonald to host the presentations.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. The presentation, would you please welcome the chairman of the WPBSA, Mr. Jason Ferguson, and on behalf of our title sponsors, Ladbrokes, the head of UK sponsorship, Adrian Osman. So, ladies and gentlemen, the runner-up receiving the silver medal and £40,000, and that goes to Ding Junhui.
Ding, I'm going to take you over here to the middle. Ding, listen, I don't think anybody can live with Ronnie when he's in that kind of form. You didn't really get much of a chance in that one tonight, did you?
No, I have good chance in the first sessions and didn't take it as well. And yeah, it looked like I played rubbish, and in the end, it doesn't respect it too much.
He's a very difficult man to beat, though. But listen, you've had a quiet season, but you seem to be coming back into your best form, usually at this time of year, with some big tournaments to come. So you must take something from that going forward.
Yes, been a few months doesn't play well, and I feel good in this all week. You know, play Ronnie in the final is always my dream. It doesn't matter how it's going. I just want to play well against him. It doesn't happen every time, but just try. Yeah.
Okay, well done, Deng. Thank you very much indeed. Ding Junhui, ladies and gentlemen.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, as we present our winner with £100,000 and the gold medal, ladies and gentlemen, Ronnie O'Sullivan. Yes.
Ronnie, wow, you've given everybody a fantastic evening here in the Guildhall, as you have so many times. 25 years after winning your first ranking title here, you're 32nd. Just how pleased are you with that tonight?
Yeah, obviously very pleased, you know, to win this tournament. It's a great tournament. I just want to say well done to Ding. You know, he's had a fantastic tournament. You know, he's a great player, so I just want to say well done to him. I want to thank the fans, you know, because they've supported me in this tournament so well this week, and it's been a fantastic tournament. It's a great venue. Obviously, I want to thank my sponsors, Bet Chris, Better Betting, because they've supported me as well, you know. So, you know, everybody sees you just here playing and making it look easy sometimes, but obviously there's a lot of support, and, you know, I just want to thank all them people. But for me, it's just nice to still be playing and competing and having fun, you know, so it's good.
You certainly look as though you're enjoying it out there, Ronnie. That's your fourth ranking title this season, which is just remarkable. 42 years old, you're just going from strength to strength.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird, really. I mean, I kind of rededicated myself just before last year's World Championships, because for 2 years I kind of took my eye off the ball, and I thought, well, let's just see if I can still play. So I put a bit of work in, and, you know, I've had a few results, which is great. But it's weird, really, because you can put all the practice in and still not do nothing. I mean, I haven't played since the Masters. I come here cold for a month, and you win a tournament. So this game doesn't make sense sometimes. You see, you're either lucky or you're not lucky. So I got lucky this week.
Well, you work hard at your luck, I can tell you that. Listen, thank you very much indeed. We've enjoyed watching you this week. We'll see you again in Llandudno, and good luck in Wales. Thanks, Ronnie.
Thank you.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's now the moment we've all been waiting for. Our winner, receiving the magnificent trophy. And ladies and gentlemen, his 32nd world ranking title as we crown him the Ladbrokes World Grand Prix champion, Ronnie O'Sullivan!
Ronnie O'Sullivan is the 2018 World Grand Prix champion, his fourth ranking title of the season with that convincing 10-3 win over Ding Junhui with a 94% pot success rate. And take a look at those total points, 1,045 to Ding Junhui's 364. A convincing victory for the Rocket. A ruthless display, Stephen, you would have to say.
I've seen him play better. especially this afternoon. I think tonight he came out and he looked focused. He looked like he wanted to get the job done as soon as possible. But yeah, disappointed in Ding. I expected a classic today. I really did. Ding was playing so well leading up to the final. We've seen his stats there. Highest break 68. I know he's only won 3 frames, but yeah, I expected him to make more of this match. But Ronnie is doing what he's doing. He's just rolling opponents over at the moment.
You certainly don't need reminded of Ronnie's first ranking title win here 25 years ago. I think everybody's made a point of reminding you about that. However, I would say this, when you saw him, when he first came onto the scene and he won that UK Championship here, did you recognise the talent that he has become?
Oh, very much so. You could tell straight away this was a guy that was going to go on and win tournaments for years and years. And I honestly think he's a far better player than he was then. Now, I think he's able to we talk about Mark Selby in a B game. Ronnie O'Sullivan's C game is getting the job done some of the time.
It's ominous, isn't it, when you see him like that? There was nothing Ding could do, Alan, tonight.
Well, he could have performed better overall, as Stephen said, but it struck me during the match that, all right, it wasn't a vintage performance by Ronnie, but it was a good performance, and he just is casting a spell over his opponents. That's what it feels like. It feels like everyone that plays against him is convinced he's going to beat them. I was thinking about it as well, like snooker up and down in snooker halls for the last 30, 40 years in the UK, and obviously it's more worldwide these days. He plays a game that's so far away from what anyone really knows. He's that good. And by the way, I include most of the tour in that. It's a completely different game he's playing. His shot selection is able to execute. Most of the guys can't do it the way he does it. And
the thing with Ronnie is, Ronnie's B game is, as we've said often enough, most players' A game.
Didn't used to be. Ronnie's A game was what was needed. His B or C game would lose him matches. Just talking about, going back to Stephen there, he was saying about the time you played him all those years ago. I played him when he was 12 years of age in the big holiday camp festival in North Wales, Prestatyn, and you had to. I was one of the invited pros. I was probably top 8 in the world at the time. I can't remember exactly where I was with my game. And I mean, these guys will know you had to win your whole sheet to get to play in the last 32 and be with the invited pros. Anyway, Ronnie was 12. He won the whole sheet, which is a lot of matches. And because I drew him, I took him a start. That's about 3 blacks. He's 12 though. He's not like he's 12 years of age. I only beat him 4-2, and he was 12. And so it was always the case that he was a fantastic player. That's a long time ago, but even then you knew that he had something different to the rest,
And you can always say, well, I did beat Ronnie O'Sullivan.
He was 12.
He was 12. Yeah. We often sit and talk about great players, the great players through the years. Stephen, you always feature heavily in that. But I would like to put Ronnie O'Sullivan against other sports. When you see the way that he performs in what is a hugely technical and skillful sport and endeavour, he is, without a shadow of a doubt, amongst the very highest rated sportsmen of his generation.
No one can tell me that anyone in any other sport is any more naturally talented or any more gifted at their sport than Ronnie is at our sport. It's a scandal to me that he's overlooked in all these sports awards that we have. It's an absolute joke. Obviously, the only thing you can put it down to, whoever's the panel is, it's just snobbery against snooker. That's all I can say. Because I mean, all these sport, Lewis Hamilton, Tiger Woods, Roger Federer, they're all unbelievably talented in their own sport. They're not any more talented than Ronnie O'Sullivan is at snooker.
The point I'd make on that is, if you say Ronnie's the most talented or most gifted, who's the second most talented? The gap between Ronnie and the second best, I believe, is bigger than any other sport. The best guy to the second best guy. Federer's probably the most, but the second best guy's a good player.
It's interesting. We do talk about Roger Federer in that breath because in the latter part of their career, still so dominant and so skillful and so much enjoyment in watching them. I throw AP McCoy into that.
Yeah, of course. I think Stephen's right though. I think the people that don't want him involved in any of these categories, they probably don't define snooker as a sport. That's all I can think of. A pastime maybe. That's what they can't like snooker, because if snooker is a sport, then he's one of the greatest sportsmen in the world at the moment. If it's not, then I don't know what he is, but he's very good at what he's doing anyway.
He certainly is, and he's made a potload of money this season, although that is definitely not uppermost in his mind. But what I really enjoyed seeing was the way he celebrated his win tonight, and how angry he was at himself when he missed balls or wasn't happy with how he was playing. But it certainly meant a lot to him tonight. You could see the way he enjoyed that victory, Stephen.
Yeah, I mean, he comes in and he tells us that he's not bothered if he loses, he's going to do this, he's going to do that. And I've said that. I mean, I still think that's a massive advantage he's got over the rest who are really trying their hardest. And he's got this other life that it doesn't matter if he wins, but he's a winning sportsman, he's a winning animal, and he loves lifting trophies, there's no doubt about it.
And however much he respects his opponent, he likes to put them away, and he's a very difficult man to catch when he's ahead. 6-3 was his lead when we came into the evening session, and this is how he finished off Ding Junhui, Alan.
Yeah, I mean, this little red here, he's trying to squeeze an angle out of it and just went astray, but it wasn't vintage, some nights it just doesn't all click, but in general play, his ability, as I showed in the little piece before it, even when the cue ball's quite close to the cushion, it doesn't make an awful lot of difference, because his ability is such that he can get the ball wherever he wants it. And Ding, I think at 8-3 we're going to see a shot. Ding missed a red behind the black spot. I think 8-3 he was done.
But the other thing there was when he is making mistakes, he's playing the immaculate safety shots like we saw there. Put Ding up the other end of the table, couldn't see a ball, and that's I think where things have changed with Ronnie, that part of it, he would get annoyed with himself if he didn't play a good shot and he would play a rash one. But now he's staying in complete control. He's a bit lucky there. He didn't have a clue this red went actually.
Yeah, he didn't know anything about that.
No, there was a lot of head shaking. There was a lot of reactions to shots. He wasn't totally in love with his game today, but he does what Ding couldn't do. His temperament lets him get over that bad shot and still play good shots. Ding let his bad play this afternoon get to him.
Something else he does actually, Ronnie, that when you think of other finals, there's been a few this season. I think the Chow Yupeng against Robertson, guys getting, all right, he's never won before, but guys getting close to the winning line. When Ronnie's like 8-3, 9-3 up, you wouldn't know it. It's as if he's sprinting to the line where other players are maybe frightened of it a wee bit. He just goes after it, and the scoreboard doesn't seem to make a blind bit of difference to him. He just plays.
Yeah, he does, and I think there was this air of resignation about Ding. At this point, all these frames behind. We've seen it before. I was going to say we've all been there. I'm not sure Stephen has been there that often, but over the years where you're that far behind in a match, maybe he has. I don't know, but there's just almost you can't help it. But Ding's looking for the door really, and that's just human nature because he knows he can't win, and he's had enough. He's taken enough punishment. He's on the ropes. And this is 32 ranking events, right? But that doesn't include the 7 Masters champ. No one's ever won the 7 Masters before. He's got that as well. And that's not a ranking event.
Champion of champions. Seen him.
Yeah, he's won that.
The trophy there in Coventry.
He's won that a couple of times. Yeah.
I think he's won the Premier League about 8 or 10 times.
He's won that.
Well,
I think he's won that more than anyone's ever won any snooker tournament in the modern era. So yeah, he's won a lot. As I said, Stephen won everything a lot of times, and now Ronnie's doing the same.
Has he got another World Championship in him?
Of course he has. I mean, you look at you have to ask the question: who's going to stop him? Because at the moment, he put the question out earlier this week: who's got the bottle to beat me? He's asked the question, and who has? In this form, who's going to stop him? It's hard. It's very hard. I mean, there's going to be lots of contenders, and it's a long tournament over 17 days. And Ronnie said himself how sometimes he can't handle the length that it goes on for. But it's hard to make a case for him not winning it.
You could all talk about what ifs. It might have been a very different final if Mark Selby had been in the final. He plays a very different game. Ronnie perhaps wouldn't have.
That's a fair point. I think
had as much. Well, I don't want to say as much freedom, but he certainly would have not looked forward to it as much against Mark Selby.
The only thing that's missing from Ronnie at the moment is a big win against Selby at the World Championships. Now, he has beaten him a lot in the past, but the last couple of times they've played, Selby's got the upper hand. I think Selby has been playing better than he is now. And if he'd have come out and wiped Selby away today 10-3, then we'd have said, well, the World Championship is his, really, because I don't know who's going to win it. Selby could win it again, clearly, because he's won 3 of the last 4. But at the moment, it's Ronnie's tournament.
The one thing Ding will take part from is he has been in the final against Ronnie O'Sullivan, and he had to beat Selby to get there. But you could see his frustration out there on the table tonight, Alan. I mean, hitting your head off the side of the table is never a good idea.
No, it wasn't. I think he dazed himself quite a bit for the next 5 or 10 minutes. I mean, the match, as I say, 8-3 down, I think mentally was done, but you can see the red mark there. He won't do that again.
I think I've actually done that before. I don't know about you guys. I've done that. Whacked your head against a slate or the cushion. At the time, it feels like... Yeah. I tell you what,
I think that answers a lot of questions.
No, it does. And tell you what, at the time it feels like the best idea ever. But then after a couple of minutes, you think, I shouldn't have done that. But when you're so frustrated, you know, that there's nothing much you can do, is there?
Well, it certainly didn't really help Ding Junhui. However, he will take heart for the fact that he was in the final and that his form has been good this week, and you know, he tends to always find a run of form as he heads into the crucible, the World Championship, the latter part of the season. We're going to take a break now, but when we come back, we are going to reflect on a fantastic week here in Preston's Guildhall and take a look at the guys' hot shots. Some great shots there. Some of it seems a very long time ago now, but some cracking snooker we've seen here this week. Which ones stand out for you then? Go on, Stephen.
I like the very last shot. Maybe to the average viewer, it doesn't look much, but to a snooker player, the control of the cue ball there is magnificent. There was lots of great, maybe shots look more spectacular, but that one for me, I really enjoyed that one.
Yes, we saw the outcome of it there, but you know, it was a great shot.
But I know what you meant.
Yeah, he was queuing down on it. I think that was the key to it, wasn't it? There was lots of things to it. He's queuing down on it, and then to execute the shot accurately was brilliant. I totally agree. So
might we be able to see it? I don't know. Maybe we won't see it. We might have a look at one of the other ones then. I like the shot, Ronnie's shot, where he got the great screw back on after the black.
Yeah. Well, look, there's a lot of Ding Junhui shots in there, right? Because he's been playing great snooker all week. A lot of Ronnie O'Sullivan, and one or two other sort of slightly unusual shots. So anyway, you know, it's one of those things. It's been a good week and some really good snooker.
What makes a hot shot then? Because of course I put in there Ant McGill's flick shot where the ball flew along the top of the table. I did it just to annoy both of you, obviously. But tell me, when you're picking a hot shot, what constitutes a hot shot?
I'm looking for the skill factor as a snooker player. That's why I picked the last one. That's why I look for. There's ones that are more spectacular. I mean, Anthony McGill is the epitome of a hot shot. I mean, you have to say. But it's a fluke.
Yeah.
I've never seen it before.
I've seen that. I did that once in the qualifier, and I know Alan did it at the Crucible, and he looked bewildered when it went in, as if he didn't know if it was even a legal shot. But yeah, I mean that is a real freakish one, because normally the ball just goes on the floor, it never rolls along the cushion into the other pocket.
And I also think a hot shot, it has to mean something as well. It's when you play a really great shot that has an influence on the match. It's a bit like a try of the season. You want a try that, it's no good when you've scored 14 tries, you just run one away.
There was one in there when it dings yellow.
Yeah,
He'd already won the frame. He was on a century break, but he came all the way around the angles, perfect on the last red. It was a magnificent shot, but obviously the frame was won.
If you're wondering why Alan isn't here to share his hot shot, because honestly, Alan is the expert when it comes to picking hot shots. He is up in the practice room at the moment, just getting ready for some of Alan's angle action. So that's how we make the magic. There's Alan. We can't get him out of the practice room, frankly, can we, this week? But he is got there with Kieran, our cameraman, getting ready for something to look forward to tonight. Another of Alan's angles.
Is that my eyesight, or was there 2 whites there?
Right, OK, we will be back here for the climax of the World Grand Prix in the Guildhall. Ronnie O'Sullivan, 25 years after his first ever ranking title here in the Guildhall. Can he make it? Another one here against Ding Junhui. He's 6-3 up in this final. We are back here at 6:45 on ITV.